Well, we told you earlier on about what has become topical over the last 12 hours, and it's about a report called from the Auditor General that is indicating that apparently the scholarship wing of the GETFund, that is the GETFund scholarships that are issued, have been going to beneficiaries who ideally don't fall in that category. And since then, we've had a number of reactions. Kujo is already here, and we'll take a critical look at the subject and also get to see what the reactions have been so far from the Ministry of Education, from the Minister of Education. Now we have other individuals also coming in. And Kujo, quite interesting.
Fascinating stuff.
Yes, and since the whole of yesterday, even the Ministry of Education has been working so hard late at night.
I didn't realize they were a 24-hour ministry.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're able to issue all kinds of statements. GETFund also issued statements. Some of them were not signed, but I guess, you know, at that time of the night, it's difficult to, you know, sign documents in the dark. But anyway, these statements were issued, all of them seeking to respond to a report, a performance audit that was done by the Auditor General's office. Now, we have to state this from the very beginning. It's sometimes missed. The fact that an audit from the Auditor General's office meets the highest standard of evidence. It is acceptable evidence in a crime case, okay, in a criminal court case. So an Auditor General's report, once it is issued, you no longer use the words allegedly because it is considered to be factual, okay? But, of course, they give opportunity for all parties to respond.
As usually is the case and the ethics for auditing.
Absolutely. So this is what the Auditor General and his team were looking at. The scope of this audit was carried out at GETFund Secretariat in Accra from March to July 2017 and in March 2019. Now, the audit covered a period of 7 years. So it started in 2012 all the way up to 2018. The audit team examined, one, the structure that GETFund had established to administer scholarships. They examined the scholarship budget and expenditure profile, also the scholarship selection process. They then looked at payment of fees. Monitoring of beneficiaries' academic performance was also looked at under this audit. And a number of things were found. Here's a bit of a summary of it. Now, according to GETFund's annual reports, from 2012 to 2018, the Secretariat expended, 425,698,973 Ghana cedis on scholarships, which had 3,112 beneficiaries. Now, out of these 3,112 beneficiaries, 2,217 persons were unlawfully granted scholarships to study abroad. Now, the public body in Ghana which is mandated to run a foreign scholarship scheme is the Scholarships Secretariat. The finding of this report was that GETFund administered scholarships, local and foreign, even though it did not have the mandate to do so. The amount of money spent on foreign scholarships could have paid for many more Ghanaians to gain tertiary level education as intended by the Act. Very disturbing is the fact that gifted but needy students ended up borrowing from the students' loan scheme or elsewhere, while officials who are highly placed in society took the scholarships not even for their wards, but for themselves. So the report concludes in paragraph 39, GETFund Secretariat, in contravention to the object of the fund, 1, administered the scholarships themselves, and 2, illegally funded foreign scholarships, therefore acting ultra vires. The recommendation is that the Auditor General may disallow the expenditures by GETFund Secretariat in the management of foreign scholarships, which he deems were contrary to law, and surcharge the person involved. Now, let's be clear. The audit report found that the GETFund had done two things wrong before we even focus on the individuals who benefited, because that is another issue altogether. But before we get to that, GETFund has done two things wrong according to the Auditor General's report. One, they have administered the scholarship themselves instead of making the funds available to the Scholarship Secretariat, which is the mandated body supposed to administer scholarships in Ghana. So they didn't do that. They administered the scholarships themselves. That's wrong. Two, they illegally funded foreign scholarships, which they are not mandated to do. Now, just this morning on the Super Morning Show, we spoke to Vincent Asifo, who is the spokesperson for the Ministry of Education, and he confirmed, he accepted that yes, indeed, GETFund is not supposed to fund foreign study. So in these two ways, according to the report, they have violated their own act. Okay. But there are some individuals who have benefited. Now, we know that Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh was a beneficiary in 2014. Now, at the time, he was an MP for Menchia South. He didn't apply as a needy student or a brilliant student. He applied as a member of parliament. Now, the response of GETFund is that, well, actually, the Minister of Education at any time can, in consultation with the Board of Trustees of GETFund, grant scholarships to other individuals if they believe that that person's study will further the course of education in Ghana. Okay. So Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, who was in 2014 the MP for Menchia South, was given a scholarship to go to Harvard to go and study for a number of weeks. Madam Adjoa Safu, who is currently the Minister for Procurement, was granted a scholarship by GETFund in the current administration to go for a conference in Harvard, which cost about $29,000 US. Kennedy Osei-Nyako is the Deputy Minister for Agriculture. Now, he is named as a beneficiary in the report, but he's issued a response which I believe you'll share with us in a minute. Prince Ama is the NaCCA Executive Secretary. He also was a beneficiary, I believe, in 2012. He was also named in the report. Ignatius Bafwewa is the member of the Minister for Employment. He also
labor relations.
And labor relations. He went to study in Portsmouth. Okay, so altogether, a total of about 89 people who are neither needy nor brilliant, according to the definition of needy and brilliant students, were given scholarships by GETFund to the tune of $4.7 million US. And GETFund says that all of these individuals, the Auditor General says all of these individuals should not have been given scholarships. First of all, because they went to study abroad, and secondly, because by the assessment of the Auditor General, these are neither needy nor brilliant students.
And if you go further, you get to find that there are a number of assessments that have also been done. And of course, we'll get to the Ministry of Education, and Vincent Eko Assefa will be giving us the latest. But it also says beyond the subject of who qualifies and whether that category of a person is needy or not, there are even basic administrative infractions because due diligence is not undertaken, in which we have about 1.8 million more that is spent on, let's say, for about 29 students. We didn't assess whether they had English proficiency scores before they had admission. Some of them also were not granted visas, and so we had to pay money for admission, defer, and the next year, the next academic year, they'll have to resume work or resume their status as students of those universities. And those will speak volumes about. But we already do have Kojo Eko Vincent Assefa on the line. You perhaps would want to engage him and get to find from him what his own assessment of the situation.
All right, Mr. Vincent Assefa, thank you for speaking to us on the AM show. I've just been interacting with you on another platform, but you've issued a statement quite late last night. If you want to talk us through the details of that statement, please.
Well, Kojo, let me say a very good morning to your cherished viewers. First and foremost, let me indicate that the performance audit report was done under the instance of GETFund. Put differently, the GETFund requested for the audit to be done from 2012 to 2017 or 2018. And now I'll make this distinction. There is a fiscal year and there is an academic year. And so the current GETFund, one way or the other, was complained of by the Auditor General's Department only for 2017-2018 academic year. Now, for all the other reports, that is from 2012-2017, where there seem to be anomalies as to the structure of how some of these awards are made, happening in 2012-2017. Put differently, the only findings by the Auditor General that was made against this current administration was in 2017-2018 academic year. However, there was a letter that was written by GETFund to the Auditor General's Department, diffusing that allegation that they spent over 100 million. Because you will only find out that when you deal with academic years, there wasn't an overrun. But when you deal with the fiscal years, then there is an overrun. Let me make that point. Now, secondly, the education minister currently has never, ever taken or benefited from any GETFund scholarship since 2017 up to date, at least as education minister. However, he may have benefited from GETFund in 2014.
May have, or
well,
did he certainly benefit?
Word. But the education minister,
I think there is a better word. You can say he did or he did not.
Let me rephrase my statement. Dr. Matthew Poku Pempe received GETFund scholarship in 2014, and that was on the basis of a training. Now, when you look at the GETFund Act, which I earlier indicated to you on the other platform, it allows for benefits to go to needy but brilliant students, and that is for the subsection 2 of the GETFund Act 581. Now, the same act, that is 2E, indicates that the minister, in consultation with the board, can supervise an award of a scholarship to anybody which is supposed to be promoting education in this country. So yes, the Minister of Education, that is Dr. Matthew Poku Pempe, before becoming minister in 2014, had gotten GETFund scholarship. However, it was given to him on the basis to go and have a 3-week training in Harvard University. Now, I can tell you for a fact that statements were given to GETFund scholarship, or let me say GETFund secretariat, right after he got back to Ghana, because the law mandates that he is supposed to be able to report back to GETFund that he's back to the country to come and, as it were, give back to the society what he learned from Harvard University. So I don't think that there is any much of a problem. My only problem is that the publication from my Joy Online is unfortunate. It's very unprofessional. And in fact, when I look at your screens this morning, saying that the education minister, NaCCA Boss, listed as GETFund scholarship beneficiaries, I don't think that it is right for us to do that, because these people are having names. You could have said Dr. Matthew Poku Pempe received GETFund scholarship in 2014. But when it is put out that the education minister received GETFund scholarship, it creates the impression that as a minister, he had received or benefited from GETFund, which I don't think that it is good for the publication that was made by My Joy Online.
All right. Did Dr. Matthew Poku Pempe, on his return, use his training in I think it was something to do with security? Did he use that training to benefit the cause of education in Ghana?
Well, he was a member of parliament at that time. Clearly, I can't produce to you the handout of parliament as to how he contributed to the cause of education or to enrichment of the duties of parliament at that time. But obviously, because you've known Dr. Matthew Poku Pempe as one of the most experienced parliamentarians or lawmakers in this country, clearly the knowledge that he acquired from Harvard University have been given, if you see, have been useful to this nation. So I have no doubt in my mind that the usefulness of the training that he had, the 3-week training that he had in Harvard University, is something that cannot be underestimated by this country. But my problem, or let me say my concern, Kojo, is that at the instance of GETFund, the report that was made by the Auditor General is revealing. And I think that as a nation, we should look at the structure to which our scholarships are awarded holistically. And that is the only way we would be able to deal with the germane problem. Because at the instance of GETFund, we realize that there have been some processes to which some of these awards were made that needed to be inquired into. And that is why the GETFund leader or the GETFund boss allowed or requested the Auditor General's Department to give to GETFund or to inquire or to investigate into how some of these things are being done so as to be able to deal with the canker of awarding scholarships in this country.
Let me ask you about the period that falls under the, the time that you were in office as PRO of the Education Ministry, because I think you can speak to that, even if you can't speak to previous years. And that would be 2017 and 2018. Now, during this period, there are a number of people who are named as beneficiaries. They include the Procurement Minister, Adjo Asafo, Kennedy Osei Nyakun, who's the Deputy Minister for Agriculture, Prince Ama was earlier, Ignatius Bafwewa, who is the Minister for Employment. These are 3 examples of people who received GETFund scholarships under the current tenure, of which you are an official. Now, what's the position of the Education Ministry on this? Did you not know that you shouldn't be funding foreign travel, foreign study?
Well, Kojo, is this selective justice? Do I have to also mention, or need I also mention the kind of people who also benefited from some of these things? But I mean, well, let me leave that. The most important thing is that is the GETFund and its board of trustees mandated under the law to give such training sponsorships to the said people that you mentioned? If yes, I don't think that it should be discussed.
The question is, are they mandated to fund foreign travel, Mr. Assefa? Foreign study, forgive me.
Well, but when you look at the law, the GETFund law states that it is not supposed to be engaging in foreign travels. But the same law gives the board of trustees, when the Minister of Education is consulted, that there are some people who are supposed to be supported by GETFund to be able to promote education. So you see, the same law gives a caveat, but it also gives a room in promotion of education. And I think that is what happened in the case of Adjo Asafo and Ignatius Bafwewa. So the point I'm trying to make is that it is not unlawful for Adjo Asafo or for Ignatius Bafwewa to have benefited from GETFund scholarship just on the face of it. Because we need to go into how the Auditor General actually arrived at the kind of results that we are having this morning.
Mr. Assefa, you have to help us here because the law is quite clear on what GETFund can do and what it cannot do.
Yes.
All right. So it is quite clear that this money should be used to fund local scholarships. So if you want to make an exception and give a scholarship to someone who is neither needy nor brilliant, like the people we've mentioned, where do you get the power to then suddenly give them to fund a foreign scholarship when GETFund is not supposed to be involved in foreign scholarships at all? Do you follow my question?
This is an issue of interpretation.
Actually, I don't know how you can make an interpretation that something you are not allowed to do, you are suddenly allowed to do it when the minister says you can.
It's an issue of interpretation. See, the law is saying that you shouldn't engage in foreign scholarship. Agreed. But I'm also saying that it is the same law that states that in promotion of education, some amount of scholarships or sponsorships could be given to a Ghanaian to be able to train so that we could promote education.
But does it say they should be foreign scholarships?
That subsection or that section did not indicate whether it's supposed to be for Ghanaian scholarship or for foreign scholarship.
But if GETFund is not supposed to do foreign scholarships at all, then of course it's for Ghanaian scholarships, is it not? I'm surprised you would even make a different interpretation here.
No, I am not giving a different interpretation. I'm saying that, yes, the law says that GETFund is supposed to be interested in local scholarships. Agreed. I am also telling you that the same law allows the minister to promote education. Promoting education, you and I know that it may be Ghana or it may be outside.
Okay, so Madam Ajwa-Safo
it's an issue that we may have to get clarity on as far as the law. You and I probably will not have that requisite finality to be able to put some interpretation.
But you're the education ministry. You should be clear. You should be clear on this. Why are you now seeking clarity? You are the education ministry. Who is going to give you that clarity?
The performance audit sought to bring about the anomalies so that you could be able to move on as a nation.
And the performance audit says you were wrong to do this.
The instance of
but you're arguing.
We requested that this audit should be done from 2012 to 2017 or 18. That is why I have brought the distinction between what was academic year and what was physical year. If you use the physical year, then you are tempted to indict the GETFund. But I think that the GETFund had done no wrong, especially because we wrote back to the Auditor General indicating to them that their issue of saying that we overrun our budget by 100% is neither here nor there.
So the performance audit has not brought you any clarity. So where are you going to get your clarity from?
Well, it is the duty of the GETFund Board of Trustees, the minister, and if you like, the leadership, to be able to sit down and look into the performance audit report once again, if you like, to be able to deliberate on it as to how going forward some decisions will have to be done. I am much interested into the processes as indicated by the Auditor General as to one of the findings as to how some of these processes are being done. And they think that the processes to which GETFund scholarships are awarded seem to be symbolic. And as a nation, we need to look at that. If indeed it is not going to the right students, if you like, needy but brilliant students, then we have to have a holistic look at it so that resources of the state are put to good use. But the findings happened in 2012, 2017, and that is something that we need to be clear about. And it was done at the instance of GETFund, and we have suspected that there have been some anomalies that have been going on, and we needed to cure that mischief in the system.
Right. So when the minister was in consultation with the Board of Trustees granting scholarships to a number of people, including Ajwa-Safo and Ignatius Bafwewa, did he have clarity on whether he could do this or not, or was he not sure?
I've told you that these are not the only two people.
Yes, I mean, that's why I said people like that
seem to be on these government appointees, and I don't know where your motivation is coming from.
But, I have a list in front of me. They are the first two names on the list. I don't want to go through the whole list.
I suggest that.
Should I go through the whole list before you answer me? I have a long list here.
So, but your interest in mentioning these government appointees is surprising.
I said they are the first two on a long list that I have in front of me. I didn't want to go through the whole list.
Other names. Why the government appointees? You are so much interested in
you
that.
can also mention names. I don't think there's any name there that's a secret. So you can also mention names if you want.
But we can go on. We can go on. That's fine.
So yes, my question is, when the minister was granting these scholarships to people like this, was he not sure whether he had the mandate to do so? Was he unclear, seeking clarity? Or did he believe that he actually has the mandate to grant foreign scholarships to these individuals?
Well, Kojo, I don't think that the GETFund board nor the Minister of Education erred in this instance. I think that there is cover for them as to Section 2, Subsection 2E of the GETFund Act, because the law mandates them to be able to promote education. And I think that promoting education, if you need to resource some people in this country, it could be either local or foreign. And that is the interpretation that I can put to it.
Okay, so...
but however, I think that the difficulties that we have in the system, or if you like, the audit report that came, is something that we need to have a second look at so that we will be able to deal with some of the challenges that the GETFund has been facing. But one thing that we need to put out for everybody to understand is that over the years, GETFund has been awarding scholarships to students in this country and have been overrunning their budget. Put differently, there are times that awards are made to students in this country and abroad without recourse to the funds or the resources that are available to them. And so from 2012 to 2016 or 2017 academic year, there were times that GETFund awarded scholarships to students and there were no funds to be able to pay for these awards. Yet students were holding their letters of award. And that became a problem. However, because we came to meet that huge debt, as a nation, because we have the mandate of the people, we couldn't have sat aloof and said that we cannot give scholarships to students because we came to meet the debt. We needed to take innovative ways, strategic ways, to be able to also render on our mandate the promises that we made to the people in 2016, that when we are given the opportunity, we are going to promote education, we are going to ensure quality education. So if there is a needy student, but brilliant, we cannot say that the recklessness of some administration that allowed for the debt to hang on the albatross, or if you like, the neck of GETFund. Because of that, we are not going to award any contract. But our mandate was to take innovative ways. That is why for the first time in the history and annals of GETFund was awarding contracts to students, some of them part payment, 50%, 60%, because we needed to be able to give to a number of students, or we needed to cover a number of students, because even though we are not having enough resources, even though we had to pay for our debt, we still had to make impact. And that impact was still to go ahead to award scholarships to needy but brilliant students in this country.
Right, but the people that you've been awarding to, they are not all needy or brilliant. In fact, according to the report, 89 people who are neither needy nor brilliant were given scholarships up to $4.7 million. So what's the innovation here? You've just come along and continued a practice that has led us into debt.
Who defines who is the needy?
Well, I mean, you help me. You keep saying I shouldn't mention. You keep saying I shouldn't mention the same names. So let me mention some different names. Number 76 on the list is Nana Obrimpoma Ufuriata. The government of Ghana, through this scheme, GETFund, paid for her to go and study in Georgetown University. Please allow me.
Are you sharing the account numbers of these people? Do you know how much they have in their accounts? How do you determine that they are able to sponsor their own education?
But you should be able to determine it. You're the education ministry.
You that.
So you tell us.
Prerogative of the board.
That's why it's a question for you, not me.
To determine, or otherwise, the sustainability, or if you like, how somebody will be able to get a scholarship from the GETFund Secretariat, it wouldn't lie within our marks, you and I, to determine that because you have mentioned this name, Nana Obrimponso so and so, this person is able to sponsor his or her education. Because we don't share the account numbers of these people. And I think that until or before we get further and better particulars from GETFund as to how these people were awarded these scholarships, we cannot make those conclusions.
All right. Unfortunately, our time is up, but I'm sure this is just the beginning of these conversations. Mr. Vincent Assefa, thank you very much for your time. Well, there you go, Ro.
Yeah, and what definitely is now coming to the fore is the fact that the administrative actions and other actions that have become now an albatross, an affront to the law, for which we had the GETFund established. And once that has been breached, it also means that people who have taken decisions along the way, as the Auditor General has established in this report, need to account for the decisions that have been taken. And if that is not done, it also means that foregoing, it becomes the actions and the administrative actions for the foregoing future.
Yeah, but I mean, let's put this in perspective. throughout this period, 2012 to 2018, 3,112 people have benefited. Out of them, 2,217, according to the report, were unlawfully granted scholarships because they went to study abroad. Well, there's going to be more on this, no doubt, so stay with us. But we've got a bit more coming up in just a moment, haven't we?
Well, we do.
Absolutely. Stay with us.
All right, back.